Good morning, boys and girls. This is Miss Poyer, and we're going to continue focusing on our nonfiction. I'm going to put fiction to the back burner. I'm going to leave this chart up. So yesterday, or the day before, you went through and did a fiction and nonfiction sort where you saw different parts and different elements of each story, and you had to sort them into, would I find that in a fiction story, or would I find that in a nonfiction story? So you did that sort. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're really going to focus on reading to learn, fact talk, and true information, because that is the whole point of reading a nonfiction book. When you sit down to read a nonfiction, you are looking for facts, you're reading to learn something new, and you're trying to find those true pieces of information. Now, it gets a little gray sometimes, boys and girls, when we're like, when you read a nonfiction book and a teacher will turn and say, what did you learn? And trust me, we've heard it. I didn't learn anything new. I already knew everything about sharks. Well, that might necessarily be true, but we still want you to tell us what were some of the facts that you read about. So maybe it's knowledge that you already had, but that's okay. If we want you to discuss the facts and information you learned in the book, we want you to tell us all of the things that you read about, whether it's new information or old information. And that's sometimes where it gets a little tricky. We've heard it many times, or we give you an assignment to do, which is what you're going to do today after we read a short paragraph, and we say, well, what did you learn? And then what happens is we see, I didn't learn anything. Well, you must have learned something, or maybe it's not new information, but you read a fact somewhere in the story. So be really careful for that. Please do not respond, I did not learn anything. You can say, well, I already knew this, but I read about it again, okay? So it might not be new information. Maybe reading about snakes is something that you've been doing for a very long time and you have a lot of information, which is totally fine. But just make sure that when you're discussing or your teacher wants you to write about the book or to share things that you learned or to share facts that you read, make sure you include all the facts instead of saying, well, I already knew everything about snakes, so I didn't learn anything. So what I'm going to do today is two different things. You are going to listen to me read a very short paragraph. And I'm going to share my screen so that it comes back up, so that when you're doing your Google work in your Google Classroom, you can actually pause this video and have the passage up on your screen, because the best thing to do is to always go back into the story. And we know that with virtual and remote learning, that's a little difficult. So I'm going to pull it up on my screen, and when you're going to do your work in your Google Classroom, you can rewatch this video and pause it right where I'm sharing my passage with you. That way, you, with your mom or your dad, or you yourself, can go back and reread this story. It is a very short passage, boys and girls, and it is titled A Super Fish, A Super Fish. So this is titled A Super Fish. It's a passage, it's not a whole book, so there are some things that are missing, like a table of contents, an index, or a glossary. And we're really gonna focus on all those different types of features later on. Right now, we really want you to get used to, when you read a nonfiction, you are looking for facts. You are looking to learn something new or to relearn something that you've already known. You're looking for real pieces of information. So that's what we're going to focus on a lot. Notice that this is an actual photograph of a shark out in its habitat in the ocean. So remember, it's not an illustration, it's an actual photograph. And it does have a caption. A caption is a sentence or something that is near your picture, or a word that talks to you about your photograph. So your caption should be describing your photograph. So this is a shark swimming with fish, which I can clearly see in the photograph. This is a shark swimming with fish. So your caption needs to match what you see in the photograph. All right, I'm going to go ahead and read. As I'm reading, really be listening to some of those facts and true pieces of information that you're hearing, whether it's new facts or old facts. A super fish. Sharks are the oldest fish on the planet. They have been swimming in the Earth's ocean for more than 400 million years. How have they survived for so long? Perhaps it is in their special body and super senses. The shark's body contains a special skeleton. The skeleton isn't made of bone. It is made of cartilage, which isn't as hard or stiff as bone. Cartilage is lighter than bone, too. This means a shark can move faster in the water. Also, the shark's skin is not covered in scales like other fish. Shark skin is covered with special teeth, like scales, and these scales are called denticles. Denticles help a shark swim fast and protect it too. Sharks have super senses. First, sharks have night vision. They can find prey in dim or dark water. Next, sharks have an amazing ability to smell. 2/3 of their brains are used for their sense of smell. Sharks can smell a drop of blood 1/3 of a mile away. That's about 6 football fields. These senses make sharks super hunters and help them survive. So here is the story. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch screens. I'm going to show you what your job is when you're done watching this video. You're going to go into your Google Classroom and you're going to go to your reading work. It's called A Super Fish. That was the title of our passage. It says, thinking about the short passage called A Super Fish. What facts and things did you learn? What is something you're still wondering about? Fill in the boxes below. So I wrote, I learned. Now remember, we do not want you to write, I did not learn anything. If it's something that is old information, you can still share it. So you are going to find two facts that you learned. You're going to type one up here and one in the second box. This third box is we want you to think about sharks and what is something that you're still wondering about. What is a question you may have about superfish? So maybe it's something you're just going, you know, when I started reading this, I wasn't sure about this question. And when I'm done, I still didn't get the answer. So what is a question you still may be wondering about the superfish? Now remember I said, boys and girls, if you did not get a chance to catch all of that information and you didn't remember it, go ahead and re-watch this video and pause it when you see the passage. And that way you can look back into the short passage and then write a fact. Be very careful, boys and girls, not to copy the exact words from the passage. We want you to put those in your own words. So if your sentence was, I just learned that sharks have been swimming in the ocean for 400 million years, make sure that you're writing it in your own words. You don't want to copy and put it on your Google Doc, okay? Because we don't want to steal the words from the author. You want to put them in your own words. And this one down here, boys and girls, this I still wonder about, this should end with a question mark. You're asking yourself a question. What are you still wondering about the superfish? So that should be a question. These two are going to be statements. They're going to be facts that come from the story. And this last one is going to be a question. You're still going to ask a question about the superfish. Also, when you're done this, boys and girls, there is a vowel word sort in your Google Classroom. We talked about the Y as a vowel, and this is your chance today to read the words at the bottom and go ahead and sort them into Y as a long E and Y as a long I. So go ahead and make sure you turn both of these in, and tomorrow we're going to be reading another short passage of something that is actually in the state of New Hampshire and maybe something that you've heard your parents talk about at some point. So I'll be checking in. Make sure you do your best. Always try your best and turn it in so your teachers can see your work. I'll check in with you guys later. Bye.